In the lush greenery of a small secluded village in Africa, life moved to the rhythm of tradition and simplicity. The village of Okoroba was surrounded by vast expanses of emerald forests, where the rustling leaves whispered secrets of generations past. The mornings in Okoroba began with the crowing of roosters, the aroma of freshly harvested yams roasting over open fires, and the distant hum of villagers starting their day. By midday, the heart of the village, the bustling marketplace, would come alive with vibrant chatter as traders bartered over spices, fabrics, and carved artifacts. Children ran barefoot, their laughter echoing as they played games under the watchful eyes of elders seated beneath towering baobab trees. At night, the skies lit up with stars, and families gathered around crackling fires to share tales passed down through countless moons. In this close-knit village, where everyone knew everyone's story, a simple farmer named Tamuno lived with his elderly parents, Grandpa A.K. and Grandma Iyene. Their home, a small mud house with a thatched roof that sagged under the weight of the years, stood at the edge of the village. It was modest, like its occupants, but radiated warmth and resilience. Tamuno was a man of few words but many dreams. Despite the harshness of his circumstances, his heart carried a quiet determination. The villagers often spoke of him, some with pity and others with disdain. His family's poverty was legendary in Okoroba. Even the poorest families referred to them as paupers of the paupers. Yet beneath their mockery lay the unspoken acknowledgement of Tamuno's unwavering spirit. Grandpa A.K., the patriarch of the family, was an old man with a weathered face and a twinkle of wisdom in his eyes. Though his hands were calloused from decades of labor, his spirit remained unbroken. He often told Tamuno, "Son, the sun doesn't rise for the rich alone. It rises for everyone. As long as we see another dawn, there's hope." These words were Tamuno's anchor on days when the weight of their struggles seemed unbearable. This is the story of Tamuno, a man whose resilience and unwavering hope transformed his life. It is a tale of redemption, love, and the indomitable human spirit. It is a story that silenced the laughter of mockers, shattered the chains of poverty, and proved that no man should ever be written off. For within every soul lies the potential to rise, even from the harshest of circumstances, and shine brighter than the stars. Tamuno's family was the poorest in the village. Their small mud house stood at the edge of Okoroba, like a relic of hard times, its sagging roof bowing under the weight of countless rainy seasons. Whenever the heavens opened, streams of water would weave their way through the cracked walls and onto the dirt floor. The house groaned with every gust of wind, as if it carried the weight of the family's unspoken despair. Grandpa A.K., Tamuno's father, was a man whose life was etched with stories of struggle. His only possession of value was an old, rusted bicycle that he had managed to keep through decades of toil. The villagers often ridiculed it, calling it the treasure of the poor. Whenever Grandpa A.K. rode it into the marketplace, children would chase after him, giggling and shouting, "Here comes the richest man in Okoroba." Yet Grandpa A.K. took their mockery in stride, his laughter blending with theirs. "This bicycle has been with me longer than some of these young trees," he would say, patting its handlebars fondly. "It may not be much, but it has never failed me." Despite their hardship, Grandpa A.K.'s spirit was unyieldingly cheerful. His face, weathered by the sun and years of labor, was often lit with a smile. He had a peculiar way of finding wisdom in the mundane, turning even the simplest moments into lessons. "Son," he would tell Tamuno in his low, steady voice, "as long as the sun rises in the east, there is hope. Never stain your hands. Work hard and keep your conscience pure. One day, it will be your turn to shine." These words were not just advice, they were a lifeline. Tamuno clung to them on days when the weight of the world felt unbearable. The villagers' scorn was constant, their laughter sharp and mocking. Some called him Tamuno the Hopeless, others simply referred to him as the poor man's son. Yet Tamuno faced their ridicule with quiet dignity. Each insult was a stone he carried, not to weigh him down, but to build the foundation of his resolve. Tamuno toiled relentlessly in the fields from sunrise to sunset. His hands bore the calluses of hard labor, his body the scars of perseverance. The farm was his sanctuary, the only place where he felt free from the judgmental eyes of the villagers. With each seed he planted, he whispered a silent prayer, a plea for a better tomorrow. Grandpa AK's faith in Tamuno was unshakable. "The sun rises for everyone, Tamuno," he would say. "Do not envy those who laugh now, for their laughter may fade like morning dew. But your turn will come, and when it does, it will be like the midday sun, bright and undeniable." These words were like balm to Tamuno's weary soul. On nights when the roof leaked, soaking his thin mattress, or when the villagers' laughter rang louder than his thoughts, Tamuno would replay his father's words in his mind. They became a melody that drowned out the noise of doubt, a light that guided him through the darkness of despair. Tamuno's life was a testament to the power of resilience. Though burdened by poverty and mocked by many, he carried within him a spark of hope that no amount of scorn could extinguish. His story was only beginning, but already it whispered a lesson to all who observed. The worth of a man is not in his possessions, but in his spirit, his will to rise, and his belief that tomorrow holds endless possibilities. By the time Tamuno turned 30, a deep yearning settled in his heart. He had spent years laboring under the scorching sun, enduring the taunts of the villagers, but now he longed for companionship. He dreamed of someone who would share his burdens, someone who would see beyond his tattered clothes and calloused hands to the man he truly was. But the women of Okoroba were relentless in their scorn. "Can you even afford my bride price?" they would mock, their voices dripping with derision. "Even if you worked for 10 years, you wouldn't come close." They laughed openly, taunting him with cruel jests. "Will you sell your father's precious bicycle to pay for a wedding?" Their words stung like thorns, but Tamuno bore them in silence. Each insult was a reminder of his place in the village's social hierarchy, a stark contrast to the dreams that filled his heart. One fateful day, as Tamuno trudged home from the farm, his path crossed with destiny. He met Tenna, a young woman from a nearby village. Tenna was unlike anyone Tamuno had ever met. She was an orphan, living alone in a tiny hut that leaned precariously against the elements. Her most prized possession was an old sewing machine, a relic from her late mother. With it, she mended clothes to earn a meager living. Despite her circumstances, Tenna carried herself with a quiet dignity that caught Tamuno's attention immediately. Her eyes held a depth of kindness, and her smile, though faint, seemed to carry the weight of untold stories. Their meeting was serendipitous. As they exchanged pleasantries, they discovered a shared understanding of life's hardships. They talked about their struggles, their dreams, and the quiet hopes they dared to harbor. For the first time, Tamuno felt truly seen, not as the poor man's son, but as a man with worth and potential. Their friendship blossomed quickly, days turned into weeks, and their bond grew stronger with each conversation. Tamuno admired Tenna's resilience and her ability to find joy in the simplest things. In her presence, he felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. It wasn't long before Tamuno mustered the courage to ask Tenna to marry him. "I have no family," she admitted, her voice tinged with sadness. "But I have an elderly couple who have cared for me like parents. They can stand for me." Tamuno's heart swelled with admiration for her honesty and strength. "That is more than enough," he replied earnestly. With Tenna's consent, they planned a modest traditional wedding. The ceremony was simple, held under the shade of a giant baobab tree. Tenna wore a gown she had sewn herself, and Tamuno's father, Grandpa A.K., stood proudly by his son's side. The villagers, however, were not kind. They gathered around, laughing and pointing. "The union of poverty," they jeered. "They are perfect for each other. Poverty plus poverty equals more poverty." But Tamuno and Tenna were unshaken. They had found something far greater than the villagers' approval, love and companionship. Their laughter rang out louder than the mockery, their joy a defiant anthem against the world's scorn. They had each other, and that was enough. One sunny afternoon, Tamuno was in his farm, facing one of the most arduous tasks he had ever encountered. A towering tree with deeply embedded roots had grown stubbornly in the middle of his plot. Its removal was essential to prepare the land for planting. Armed with nothing but a hoe and a shovel, Tamuno began the grueling task. The sun blazed mercilessly overhead, and beads of sweat rolled down his face, dripping onto the dry, cracked earth. As he hacked away at the roots, his arms ached and his resolve wavered. But just as he considered pausing for a break, a glint of light caught his eye. At first he dismissed it as a trick of the sunlight reflecting off a shard of glass, but something about it beckoned his attention. Intrigued, he knelt and brushed away the dirt with his calloused hands. Beneath the gnarled roots lay a mysterious, shimmering object. Tamuno's heartbeat quickened. With renewed energy, he dug deeper, carefully dislodging the object. When he finally unearthed it, he gasped. In his hands lay a diamond. Not just any diamond, but a stone so large and brilliant that it seemed almost otherworldly. The sunlight caught its facets, scattering rainbows across the soil. For a moment, Tamuno was frozen, his mind racing with disbelief and wonder. Realizing the significance of his find, Tamuno quickly wrapped the diamond in a piece of cloth and tucked it into his satchel. He glanced around nervously, ensuring no one had seen him. His legs carried him home faster than they ever had before, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and apprehension. When he arrived, Grandpa A.K. was sitting under the shade of their mango tree, mending a torn fishing net. Tamuno approached him breathlessly, his voice trembling as he said, "Papa, you need to see this." Grandpa A.K.'s eyes widened as Tamuno unveiled the diamond. For a moment the old man was speechless. Then, in a voice filled with awe, he whispered, "This is a diamond, son. Do you realize what this means? This is a fortune, but we must keep this secret, not a word to anyone." That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Grandpa A.K. made a decision. He reached for the old, dust-covered phone book he kept in a wooden chest and dialed the number of an old friend, Mr. Tony. Mr. Tony was a jeweler who had built a reputation for honesty and expertise in the city. Grandpa A.K. explained their discovery, and Mr. Tony agreed to meet them the following day. The next morning, Tamuno and Grandpa A.K. set out early, carrying the diamond securely wrapped. The journey to the city was long and tiring, but their hearts were light with hope. When they arrived at Mr. Tony's shop, the jeweler's reaction confirmed their suspicions. "This is extraordinary," Mr. Tony exclaimed. "A diamond of this size and quality is worth a fortune." Mr. Tony facilitated the sale to a wealthy merchant, ensuring they received a fair price. When the transaction was complete, Tamuno held in his hands more money than he had ever dreamed of. As they walked back to the village that evening, Grandpa A.K. placed a hand on his son's shoulder and said, "The sun has risen for you, Tamuno. But remember, wealth is only as valuable as the good it can do." This discovery marked the turning point in Tamuno's life. The diamond had not only brought them material wealth, but also the opportunity to rewrite their story. For the first time, Tamuno felt the weight of the world lift from his shoulders, replaced by a sense of purpose and endless possibility. With their newfound wealth, Tamuno and his family embarked on a journey that felt like stepping into another world. The first thing they did was purchase a beautiful home in the city. It was a stark contrast to their old mud house, with walls painted in warm hues, tiled floors that glistened under the sunlight, and rooms spacious enough to accommodate the dreams they had long buried. For the first time, Grandpa AK and Grandma Iene slept on soft beds, and Tamuno marveled at the luxury of turning on a light switch instead of relying on kerosene lamps. The house became a symbol of their transformation, a place where laughter replaced tears and hope replaced despair. Tenna, who had always harbored a quiet love for sewing, was sent to a prestigious fashion school in the city. Tamuno and Grandpa AK insisted that her talent deserved proper training, and with their support, she flourished. Every day she immersed herself in the art of design, learning to craft garments that were as beautiful as they were functional. Within a year, Tenna graduated as the top student in her class. Her instructors spoke of her with admiration, calling her a prodigy. With her newfound skills, Tenna opened her own fashion house. It began humbly, operating from a small studio, but her talent quickly drew attention. Her designs, inspired by the vibrant patterns and rich textures of their heritage, captivated clients from across the region. Her name became synonymous with elegance and innovation, and soon orders poured in from distant cities. Tenna, once the orphaned girl with a threadbare sewing machine, had become a celebrated designer whose work adorned society's elite. While Tenna pursued her passion, Tamuno set his sights on a dream he had long nurtured. For years, he had admired the intricate craftsmanship of furniture and dreamed of one day creating pieces that combined beauty and functionality. With the resources now at his disposal, he began his own furniture business. Tamuno approached the venture with the same determination that had carried him through years of farming. He studied the craft meticulously, learning from seasoned artisans and experimenting with designs that fused tradition and modernity. His first collection, crafted from the finest mahogany, was an instant success. Word spread quickly, and soon his workshop buzzed with activity as orders flowed in. The once mocked farmer had transformed into a respected entrepreneur. Villagers who had jeered at him now spoke of his achievements with awe. "Tamuno has shown us that the tides can turn," they would say. But despite their newfound wealth and success, Tamuno and Tenna remained humble. They never forgot the struggles that had shaped them or the village that had once been their entire world. They made it a point to give back, funding scholarships for children in Okoroba and donating resources to improve the local school and clinic. Their generosity became a beacon of hope, inspiring others to believe in the power of perseverance and community. As Tamuno stood in his bustling workshop one evening, overseeing the work of his apprentices, he reflected on how far they had come. From the humble fields of Okoroba to the heights of success, their journey was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The new chapter of their lives was not just about wealth or success, it was about redemption, transformation, and the enduring power of hope. Tamuno and Tenna's story became a legend in the region, a tale told to inspire generations to come. Tamuno's parents, Grandpa AK and Grandma Iene, yearned to return to their village, Okoroba, despite the wealth and comfort of city life. When they expressed their wish, Tamuno promised to build them a home worthy of their legacy. Over 3 months, he transformed their old dilapidated house into a grand mansion that blended tradition with modernity, symbolizing the family's journey and perseverance. On the day of their return, Tamuno drove his parents back in a gleaming jeep, marking their triumphant homecoming. The villagers, once critical, watched in awe as the family arrived, the mansion standing as a testament to hard work and hope. The inscription at the entrance read, "A home built on hope and hard work." The family celebrated their return with the community, inspiring villagers with their transformation. Grandpa AK and Grandma Iene spent their days peacefully in their beloved village, their new home a reflection of resilience and love. Tamuno's act not only fulfilled his parents' dream, but also inspired the entire village, proving that perseverance and faith can turn the most humble beginnings into extraordinary achievements. Tamuno's story is not just about wealth, but about perseverance, love, and the power of hope. It is a reminder that we should never write anyone off, no matter how dire their situation may seem. As long as there is life, there is potential for greatness. If you enjoyed this story, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more tales of inspiration and hope. Together, let's spread the message that everyone has the potential to shine. And always remember, the sun rises for everyone.